iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams, race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Good afternoon, race fans, and welcome to playoff race number 1 for Season 3 of the American Sim Racing Club Sportsman Series. Tonight, these drivers will take on the biggest track on the NASCAR schedule, that being the high banks, high speed, high octane racing of Talladega Super Speedway. As we get to the end of practice here, drivers will try and go for qualifying here and see who can pick up tonight's Quick Time Award at the Talladega Super Speedway. Tonight is the start of the playoffs, like I said, so we'll see 10 drivers doing battle. You'll see their numbers be neon yellow to let us know that they are in the playoff contention right now. Tanner Tallarico leads the points going into these next 4 races. The driver with the most points at the end of these next 4 races will be this Season 3 champion. As we got our first cars out on track, getting it up to speed, we're looking at the 27 machine of Lee Campbell. As he's getting wound on up here for qualifying, Lee Campbell is one of the playoff drivers here tonight in that 27 machine, so we'll see what Lee can do to fight for this championship. As last season we saw Dan Parmley and John Sanu pick up championships in their respective divisions. So Dan Parmley did pick up the overall championship, but we will have to see who can get the overall championship. We're going for one title when it's all said and done. So we'll have to see who can pick that up of these 10 drivers in the next 4 races. Of course, a interesting schedule for these 4 races to figure out who is the best. A lot of different tracks to really showcase these drivers' talents. Tonight we got, of course, who can see the air, see the draft the best, and who can set themselves up for the best finish here at Talladega. Next week we'll go to Watkins Glen, where these drivers will have to try and figure out how to turn left and right, and of course do it while maintaining control of their cars. Week after that is the Bristol Motor Speedway, so some short track action. And then we had the Bull Ring last week, folks, and we saw how that went. We finish at the Irwindale Motor Speedway, so another very short track. We'll have to see how that shakes on out as Lee Campbell comes to the start finish line. Of course, it's after the tribal, folks, so we'll have to see what kind of moves will be made in this tribal when it's all said and done. But Lee Campbell comes to complete lap number 1. He will go P number 1 at the moment. As we can see, 5 playoff drivers have taken a lap time. Lee Campbell currently the fastest of them, but he did not run the top for his first lap, so we'll have to see if that slows down that car at all and lets that thing drift on off the corner, trying to keep as much momentum as he can around this Talladega Super Speedway. These lap times are a lot slower than practice. That's because they don't have the draft. Also, another fun fact with these ARCA cars is they do not bump draft whatsoever, so these drivers got to make sure that they do not lock bumpers, because if they do, that car in front will go around very quickly as Josiah Millen goes to the top of the time and scoring. Now Devin McDonald knocks him on off with a 53.27, so very close times at the top as Lee Campbell completes his second lap, improves it just a little bit with a 53.52. Hayden Swank improves his lap time as well. As we look at the 51 machine of Ron Hart, you gotta love the image on the hood. I guess that's my face on the 51 machine. So hopefully he keeps that car clean by the end of this race. So did not know that was coming, but appreciate the free publicity, Ron, as he was last week's winner. So he'll start shotgun on the field for tonight's 55 lapper. And I've heard a little rumor that it might be a little bit of a fuel mileage race, folks. Fuel will be right on the edge, so we may see some drivers trying to one-stop it, and some drivers maybe taking the 2, but that could be all thrown out the window when we get the big one. It's not an if, it's when does this field implode. As Devin McDonald continues to lead the way, Ron Hart with his first lap completed. Of course, Ron Hart sadly just missed the cutoff for the playoffs, so he will not challenge these 10 drivers for their time. But he goes down the backstretch for his money lap here. You see Ron Hart keeping that car nice and low down the super stretch, down this backstretch, as he's trying to keep that car as wound up as possible. Lap number 1, he went against the wall, so this will be the money lap. As you can see with the timing, about a second off of quick time. So we'll see if he can shave off his second being on this bottom side. But so far, looking pretty good from the 51 machine as he misses the end of qualifying. So he will start towards the back. And we'll head down to the grid to run through tonight's starting order. As we try this again, folks, we got the starting order now all figured on out, except we do not. So we'll go through it manually, folks. Devin McDonald will start on the pole. Josiah Millen in that 40 machine will start second. Third goes to Brian Wilderson in that 951 machine. Fourth is Tanner Tallarico on the grid. Fifth goes to John DeMeester in that Blue Deuce. Sixth goes to Hayden Swank in that 35 machine. Seventh is John Sanu in that 86 machine. Eighth is Dave Payne in the 38. Ninth goes to Lee Campbell in the 27 machine, rounding out the top 10. We were looking at him, just didn't make his money lap there. That would be Ron Hart in the 51 machine. 11th is Andrew Payne, who will be admitting. 12th goes to Jeff O'Quinn in the 94 or the 4 Kodak machine on track. 13th is Justin Callahan in the 75 machine. 14th goes to Donald Bennett in the 31. And rounding out tonight's field, starting shotgun, is Kyle Lesher in the 41 machine. So Devin McDonald did pick up the quick time. He will start on the pole for tonight's race as we get ready for this pace car to pull on off and we get ready to go. Green flag racing for playoff race number 1 for the American Sim Racing Club Sportsman Series. As we get ready to rock and roll, folks. Of course, these guys doing 55 laps around the super speedway, so we'll have to see if everyone makes it to that finish line. My bet is no. So let me know in the YouTube chat land. Let me know how many people you think will make it to tonight's race and who might be there at the end to challenge for this playoff win number 1. As these drivers roll on away here, we get ready to go. Green flag racing here. As Devin McDonald has picked up his first ASRC win. He picked up the win at the Dirt Eldora race in the middle of the season. We'll see if he can pick up another one, as he's in the best place on the grid right there in pole. You know, you always want to be up towards the front in these super speedway races because you never know what could happen. As a solid field of cars get ready to do battle here at the Talladega Super Speedway. A lot on stake here. These playoff drivers want to make sure they have a pretty good finish for race number 1 at Talladega, because these super speedways are always a wild card for the most part. So we will have to see what drivers can make it through and keep the damage to a minimum. As these short track aces such as Brian Wilderson, Josiah Millen, Tanner Tallarico, Ron Hart, who is not in the playoffs but will be looking forward to the second half of these playoffs with those short tracks. So all those drivers trying to make sure they survive these super speedways to get back to their strengths. As with bonus points all shaken on out for these drivers, folks, I believe Tanner Tallarico has about a 10-point advantage when it's all said and done. So we will have to wait for Devin McDonald to jump on the loud pedal here and bring us to green flag race in action for race number 1 of the playoffs. We'll now wait on the 18 machine. He jumps on the loud pedal. We go green for the playoffs. As everyone gets through the gears, it looks like fairly cleanly, so no one missing a gear, checking up their lines. As up front, we got side by side, at least into turn number 1. That outside lane kind of dispersing already as Tanner Tallarico jumps quickly to that inside line. He's making sure he tries to save as much as he can, as now Hayden Swank will slide up to the back bumper of the 40 machine of Josiah Millen up top, who has a pretty big run down the backstretch. So we will have to see if that top side can get formed up, maybe challenge that inside line, as they're looking to do just that here down the in 3 and 4 as Hayden Swank dives down right in front of Tanner Tallarico. Tanner has to check on up, but Hayden Swank wants that inside line as Ron Hart a little bit further back, taking it 3 wide on lap number 1 with the 2 Johns to his inside. Ron Hart trying to make that outside work in that orange 51 machine. He does have some help here. Donald Bennett in that 31 thinking about joining him up top. So here early in this race, we get some 3 wide race in action right around the mid pack. But so far, everyone keeping up with this first pack, and then in the second pack, right behind them, being led by Justin Callahan, has him, of course, and Kyle Leisure and Jeff O'Quinn. As we see the one of Tanner Tallarico pulling some shoots, he says, I'm going to go back on out of this ride on around for a little bit, as Ron Hart looks like he'll be able to slot back in, take it back 2 wide as he goes all the way to the bottom side. So we will have to see who's pushing hard, who's saving, and how this will all sort on out as we complete lap number 3 of 55 that time by. Up front, they're still side by side, almost door to door. They'll definitely be door to door once they get down the backstretch. Josiah Millen holding a nice line right there in that 40 Jack Daniels machine, as he's not letting that inside wash on up, get that momentum that he has down these straightaways. As now with Johnson who jumping to that top side, there is some more cars up top, but they're a little bit less sorted on out than that inside line. So we will have to see how that works on out, as now John Sanu jumps down to that bottom side, gives that advantage to the bottom, but Donald Bennett, a man on the move, up 10 positions, sitting that third car in that inside lane. He's looking to get to the front as quickly as possible. He has only about 3 rows side by side, maybe now down to 2 if Lee Campbell does jump down to the inside, but it looks like he will stay to that top side, as everyone else is single file down on the inside line. Lee Campbell does jump on down, so then that leaves just 2 cars left on the top side. Josiah Millen being one of them, Dave Payne. Both of them been stuck on this top side every single lap so far, so we'll have to see if they will call their efforts enough and single file in and ride around for a little bit, as these guys will not push the envelope here this early in the race. They know what's on stake, what's at line, especially with these playoffs. So these drivers doing everything they can to make sure they at least see about 10 to go. Then we'll see drivers start turning it on up. But, you know, they at least want to get to that first round of pit stops, whether it be green flag or under yellow flag. As we have one car right there on the inside line. Not sure. He does lift and let Josiah Millen in. So Josiah Millen finally makes it down to that inside line in front of the 31 of Donald Bennett. Dave Payne still trying to work that top side. Now has help from John Sanu in that 86 machine. But last time by, the fastest lap was completed by the Blue Deuce of John DeMeester. John, of course, making another playoff appearance. He has made the playoffs in his division every single season so far, so he is checking the boxes that he needs to do. And once again, making another playoff appearance for the American Sim Racing Sportsman Series here for season number 3. As Dave Payne right against the wall. We get some 3-wide action. Not sure if maybe some miscommunication, or looks like Dave Payne is pulling the chutes. He will drop onto the back. Now maybe John Sanu will help out the 31 machine of Donald Bennett, but up front it has been the Devin McDonald show so far. Has Brian Wilderson right there glued to his back bumper. Of course not making contact and causing any issues or anything, but Devin McDonald has led all the laps so far in this race, and like I said, folks, when he started, in the spot that he needs to be for the qualifying, right there in front, hoping to keep all the chaos behind him. As Donald Bennett now jumps to the top side, he will challenge Devin McDonald for the race lead as we get 2 packs forming on up. Of course, the lead pack being led by Devin McDonald might be under fire a little bit from the 31 machine of Donald Bennett, who is trying to make that high side work with John Sanu. Maybe might pick up John DeMeester here in a minute. And then pack number 2 will be made up of the 38 machine of Dave Payton. As Donald Bennett gets a good run down off of turn number 4, has help from John Sanu and Lee Campbell up top. The inside line being made up of Devin McDonald leading the point. He just led that lap, but Donald Bennett will lead the way into turn number 1, so we will have to see if that high side has enough energy with 3 cars versus the 4 down there on the inside line. Hearing a little bit of race chatter from that second group saying we don't want to lose the draft of the cars in front of them, so they try to push a little bit just to make sure they get that draft in case and don't let those drivers slide. As Donald Bennett slides on him right in front of John DeMeester, He wants to get back down to that inside line and does just that. Lee Campbell also slides on in, so that leaves John Sanu by himself up top. But now John DeMeester in the Blue Deuce will jump up to the top side. We will see if he gets any help up there. But right now, the lonely car not on this inside line here in this race. As down the back, super stretch, the field comes. John Sanu up there, and he slides on in. So we go to single file racing here in this race. Being led, of course, by the 18 machine, has led all 10 laps so far, coming to leap lap number 11. But the field has single filed on out. Everyone, I'm pretty sure, figured out who they want to work with, at least around the cars that they do for this beginning part of this race. As I believe we'll see pit stop start right around lap 20 to 25. So we have to keep an eye on that. See when these drivers decide to come on in, you know, see who they can coordinate to come down pit road with them. Because if you come down pit road by yourself, you know, you'll be left on your own very quickly. As folks, while we got this beautiful line of cars, let's take a look at what the fans are seeing up in these stands. Let's take a look at the turn 3 fan cam as they come to you here in the tri-oval. And this right here, folks, is why they have multiple spotters around this place. You know, these drivers getting very small in the distance as you see that whole line of cars down the backstretch. Of course, no changes in the standings, as you can see how these cars can draft on up to each other in the straightaways, and then these drivers lifting just to give each other a little bit of space in these corners. But everyone's single filed on out, staying on the bottom, as now we have a taker to the top side. It's the 35 machine of Hayden Swank, maybe trying to get a few spots here while everyone is single filed on out, riding on around in this race. And we'll throw on some binoculars for the backstretch here. This is what the spotters can see with the binoculars as they come down the backstretch. We're looking at our race leader, Devin McDonald, in the 18 machine as we continue to go through this field. Now looking at our 5th place runner, Lee Campbell, in that 27 machine. As they come down to the front stretch, we sit high above the grandstands now, seeing what that shot is like. As you can see, a little bit more height in this camera than the fan cam. Get a little bit more sight as we look at this field heading down the backstretch once again. As Brian Wilderson right on the back bumper of our race leader. I said you can't really push with these cars, but if you can time it right, if you got enough skill, you know, you can just lean on the back bumper, especially with these current update to these cars. So as we have the 27 machine of Lee Campbell jumping to the high side, we'll have to see if he gets around the 31 machine or if he has to slot back into that 5th position. But maybe a little bit of strategy being played as he does clear the 31 machine and moves himself up into the 4th position. And folks, this is the normal smart super speedway racing, you know, ride on around. It's the calm before the storm. These drivers just making sure they get to that first pit stop, can have enough fuel to whatever strategy they're trying to do. So We will have to see how this works on out for these drivers. You got to wonder what people's fuel is like, especially from our race leader, Devin McDonald, who has been wide open since the green flag has dropped, versus the likes of maybe a John Sanu, John DeMeester, or the second pack, you know, Ron Hart in there, Hayden Swank, Kyle Ledger, all of those drivers in these playoffs, but also trying to make sure their strategy unfolds the way they want to in this race. This time by, the field will complete to lap number 17 of 55. And so far, Devin McDonald has led every lap, getting some bonus points for those playoffs. At this pace, he'll lead the most laps if he can get to right around lap 27 while leading. But we'll have to see if he can do that. You know, I believe if you lead the most laps in the race, that's 3 bonus points. So that is definitely a helpful swing, even if you finish around in the 10th position. You know, that moves you back up to about a 7th place finish, so a lot to take into account. As Lee Campbell once again jumps out to the top side in this first group all by himself, will try and leapfrog these leaders as they are saving some fuel probably, as he gets all the way up door to door with our second place driver Brian Wilderson. He will challenge the race lead by himself. You can just see how much air these cars are moving to allow Lee Campbell to kind of run by himself up on that top side, but, you know, stay halfway competitive even with no help behind him, as he has enough room right now to slide down to that inside. Oh, didn't take advantage just quick enough, so Josiah Millen will slide on in, fill that inside line, but now we'll have to see if Lee Campbell can slot back in front of that 31 machine, and he definitely has the space to do that, as we'll look to see if that 40 machine clears. He does, and Lee Campbell does slide back into P number 4. Maybe Lee has the broadcast on up, hearing about those bonus points for leading the lap, maybe trying to jump there out in front. But that is the dance these drivers are going to have to make, and of course for pit strategy, you know, you want to stay on out and lead a lap, but also you don't want to stay on out, leave yourself by yourself, because then you'll lose the draft, and once that happens, that is game over in the super speedway races. As the second group kind of pulling on up to John DeMeester in that blue deuce. Hayden Swank kind of hanging out there in no man's land right now. He'll have to jump on the loud pedal to catch this pack that is pushing to the back bumper of this lead pack. As we will jump on board with Dave Payne here just to see what it's like in these cars and see what he's seeing out his front windshield as he catches this pack here, and see if he's playing with the throttle at all, see if he's saving any fuel. So we'll ride on board and listen here for a lap. And you can hear, folks, a little bit of lifting in the tri-oval, making sure he doesn't get to that back bumper of that 2 machine, but maybe saving a little bit of fuel as well. We do not know what situations, what strategies these drivers are going. As now we look on the back deck lid of the 38 machine, checking out Ron Hart, and the rest of the cars behind him from 9th on back. As these drivers, if they do want to try and one-stop it, they will have to get to about lap 27, 28 and make it on the rest of the way. So we'll see who can get the job done in that case. But so far, these drivers looking pretty good. So far, 22 laps have been all green so far for playoff race number 1 of the Sportsman Series. As we got some cars pushing on the top side, one being the 75 machine of Justin Callahan. He wants to get to the back bumper of this first pack as everyone has kind of closed on up and have once again formed one big pack. But up top is Justin Callahan and Jeff O'Quinn trying to get some spots before these green flag pit stops. As one car down on the apron, that is the 51 machine of Ron Hart, slides on back into his spot. So wasn't sure if he was throwing shoots or maybe looking at his dash. A lot these drivers have to take into account, as that's one thing I haven't talked about yet, folks, is the temperatures of these cars for while in the draft. You know, if you're the push car like the 951 has been all race long, you know, he's got to keep an eye on those temperature gauges. Make sure he doesn't get that thing running too hot. You see him jump out from the 18 machine's back bumper and making sure that he gets some air to that engine, as it's always a bummer to blow up the car, especially in the second position or higher, you know, especially at the end of the race. As we look on the back spoiler of our race leader at the whole field behind Devin McDonald. As we see Justin Callahan and Jeff O'Quinn pushing on that top side. They have made it up to right around the 3rd and 5th position. So the only 2 drivers on up top. And they got to wonder, you know, if they do come in, when they do, and if they try and pit from that second lane, which is always a little bit sketchy. As we see how much these cars are moving around with this air. Even the race leader, you know, walking that car, making sure he makes that thing, puts that place where Brian Wilderson wants it, to either see that inside line, you know, see some markings on the track to make sure he doesn't hit the apron or hit the back of that 18 machine, especially in the corner. As here on lap 25, we got some takers down pit road, one being the 18 machine of Devin McDonald with both Johns behind us. John DeMeester misses pit road. That will be a penalty, and he's got to hope for a yellow flag. I believe John Sanu and Devin McDonald both made it down pit road safely without speeding, but we'll keep an eye to see if they get any penalties. But that hands the race lead over to Brian Wilderson in the 951 machine, and also leading a lap, getting a bonus points for these playoffs. We'll have to see who comes in here on lap number 26. As one car a little slow coming to pit road, it looks like Kyle Leisure, but we got a good amount of cars coming on in, being led by Brian Wilderson, Josiah Millen with a little bit of lockup. Same with Donald Bennett, Lee Campbell also in the mix, Justin Callahan, Jeff O'Quinn, all down pit road. So now there's one pack of drivers that have not pitted. It is these 4 drivers being led by Dave Payton, Ron Hart, Tanner Tallarico, and Hayden Swank 3 of the 4 of these drivers are in the playoffs, as Dave Payne did get a bonus point. So we'll have to see if this final group can get down pit road safely, as I believe the only car with a penalty so far down pit road is the 2 machine of John DeMeester, as we see these drivers woe it on up for pit road. Tanner Tallarico with a big lockup. He gets that thing woed down. Everyone gets it down to pace speed. Hayden Swank with a late braking. As we hear from the driver of the 38 machine, he is out of fuel on pit road, so he's trying to limp it onto his box. But when it's all said and done, it looks like Brian Wilderson will take over the point. Donald Bennett in tow with Josiah Millen. Those 3 kind of in their own, with Lee Campbell trying to hang on to the draft here. Devin McDonald with that pit stop, about 2 seconds back. Does have some help from the lap down car of John DeMeester, so we'll have to see how that shakes on out for the Blue Deuce. Currently the lucky dog position, as these guys rolling out of pit road here. We'll see the field fly on by here in a second. As Hayden Swank had a very slow stop, folks. He's still on the apron, so he will lose the draft as well. He's got to hope for a yellow or maybe someone else back there to pick on up the draft with, but it looks like Tanner Tallarico might cycle out to be the race leader, but he is sitting by himself up front, as here comes the field with a big run. Brian Wilderson to the top side of Dave Payne and Ron Hart, bringing the 31 machine and the rest of the pack. As you can just see the speed difference of Tanner Tallarico being stuck by himself. He will lose the race lead to Brian Wilderson, who will lead this lap, and looks like everyone in that first pit stop pack does get on around, except for looks like maybe the 40 and the 18 machine may get stalled on out here on the top side, as everyone tries to get back to that inside line here on lap number 29. Some drivers outside of the draft here hoping for a yellow, one being the 35 machine of Hayden Swank. Kyle Lesher and Justin Callahan at least have gotten linked up, so they got to push hard here to try and catch this pack. And then Jeff O'Quinn also out here by himself, and then John Sanu, the lonely 86 machine, really hoping for a yellow, as he does not have any draft help and losing time each and every lap to this pack that is drafting with each other. As this time by, folks, we see lap number 30 of 55. We are already in the second half of this race, this playoff race number 1. As John DeMeester in the Blue Deuce does unlap himself unlapping himself the hard way, does get his lap back, but out there in front of the field, the race leader is Devin McDonald in the 18 machine. So John DeMeester does need a yellow flag right here, and he won't have to use up a wave round, but we have to see what this field does when they do catch that Blue Deuce, because he's out there in front a little bit of this field. Does Devin McDonald, save some fuel? I bet he does, and sit to the back bumper of the Blue Deuce, as we see the 1 machine of Tanner Tallarico jump out to the top side. He goes for the race lead here. As this time by at the start-finish line after the travel, we'll see 24 laps to go in this playoff race number 1. Dave Payne does jump to the top side with Lee Campbell. They try and make that top side work to get around that Blue Deuce, and that will put John a lap down. We'll have to see how this works on out for these drivers. Everyone very much spread out trying to make things happen. But folks, while we got some side-by-side racing, let's do some turn 3, turn it up. I'll let the cars do the talking. As we see John DeMeester throwing the chute, He says don't want to be in here as, oh, Devin McDonald gets a little bit of help from Brian Wilderson. They somehow hang on to it and everyone stays straight. Keep it green flag racing here. Alrighty, folks, we come back to racing action here as we get 21 laps to go at the start-finish line. Tanner Tallarico leading over Brian Wilderson in second, so we had a switch for the race lead. Probably Devin McDonald needs to save some fuel because everyone is right on the edge of making it in this race, so we'll have to see how this shakes on out. But Tanner Tallarico leading the way in this race and pack number one as everyone is single filed on out. But further on back, pack number two being led by Justin Callahan, Jeff O'Quinn also in here, Hayden Swank with John DeMeester, and Kyle Lesher trying to get just a whiff of a draft. But this time by, folks, we will see 20 laps to go here at the Talladega Superspeedway. We have completed 35 laps, now down to the last 20. We'll have to see how this shakes on out as the front two have started to pull away, that being the one of Tanner Tallarico and the 951 of Brian Wilderson. I believe with those laps led by Devin McDonald for those few laps. I believe Devin McDonald will pick up the most laps led when it's all said and done, unless Tanner Tallarico can lead from here on out. But these front two not saving any sort of fuel. They have pulled away from that second pack. As everyone is trying to figure out fuel strategy, if they can make it, if they can't, how much to save, how much to push. As Tanner Tallarico goes all the way up to the top side. He lets Brian Wilderson go on around, so we'll have to see if Tanner, was trying to save a little as Devin McDonald hustles right up to the back bumper of that one machine. With this pack here completing lap number with 18 laps to go. I'm going to go hand it over to commercial break, take a break from talking, and we'll be back on the other side. Don't go anywhere, folks. As we come back to the Talladega Super Speedway, Devin McDonald getting a little aggressive with the push, and as we get to the end of this race, we saw Tanner Tallarico right before commercial break get a little bit out of shape. Now Donald Bennett stuck on the top side all by himself. Will probably slide on back to the end of this pack unless he can slide in front of Tanner Tallarico, which he will not. So Donald Bennett will be sliding on back, but still the biggest mover of this race, up right around 8 or 7 positions where he is running on track right now. So that 31 machine putting himself in the right place here at the end of this race. But up front, the 951 machine of Brian Wilderson continues to lead the way over this first pack here, as people are starting to get a little bit more aggressive with the pushing. They're starting to turn it up just a little bit as these front two once again trying to pull away a little bit, now being made up of Brian Wilderson and Josiah Millen, both drivers in the playoffs trying to maximize their points after round number 1. As contact, Devin McDonald makes pretty significant rear end contact with Josiah Millen. Everyone hangs onto their race cars, but that could have been bad very quickly for this field, especially heading into a corner like that. As pack number 2 is still these 3 drivers, Justin Callahan, Jeff O'Quinn, and Hayden Swank, all in this pack. A little bit further back, Kyle Lesher kind of hanging on by himself, riding on around, hoping for his yellow. Same with the blue deuce of John DeMeester, who is currently the lucky dog sitting a lap down, but John Sanu continues to lose time to these race leaders as he's about a half a track back, as these front two as really pulled away Brian Wilderson and Josiah Millen. Maybe some big time fuel saving as this pack is really spread on out. As we'll have to see how this shakes on out, folks. Just to keep in mind, the first pitters were the 18 machine of Devin McDonald's with both the John Sanu and John DeMeester. Pack number 2 was Brian Wilderson, Josiah Millen, Lee Campbell, Donald Bennett, Justin and Jeff O'Quinn. Hayden Swank did make it in that final group with Tanner Tallarico, Dave Payne, and Ron Hart. So another thing we have to keep in mind. But with this lead pack so slow, the second group has made up some time now, about 3.5 seconds back from the race leader, are closing in on 2 seconds to the back of the pack. So these guys are catching this second pack as these front two have pulled on away a good bit, almost a second gap between them and Devin McDonald, who we're looking at running in the 3rd position. So these two front runners, probably not too much, if none, fuel saving. They know they probably can't make it to the end, so they're going to go push here and try and just get a quick splash and go. As Justin Callahan and Jeff O'Quinn have pushed on up and have passed now that 3rd pack on the speedway, so they are making up a ton of ground in a short amount of time, so they are coming for this race lead. So we got to wonder how they are sitting on fuel, being on their own for as long as they did. So As up front, Brian Wilderson continues to lead the way over Josiah Millen. Devin McDonald has caught these front two. Lee Campbell also in there. And Justin Callahan and Jeff O'Quinn trying to make some moves here on this first pack. As this time by, we will see two open palms from the flagman. 10 laps to go around the super speedway. This 2.67 mile monster. These guys are going to be close on fuel. I don't know who's going to make it, who's not, as I believe most of the field probably won't. So we'll have to see if maybe some moves will be made up until that point. As Justin Callahan, I want to say they came from 6 or 7 seconds back, now fighting on this top side, trying to get this race lead. As Josiah Millen, big time sideways down the backstretch, he somehow saves that thing as he was sawing on that wheel with a bump from the 18 machine of Devin McDonald. As we jump on the backside of our race leader, looking at this race here for the race lead, as Justin Callahan will try and challenge now the 951 machine for the race lead here. As you can see how far that other pack has gotten to the back, have really fallen off in pace, so they might be going for the long game, you know, trying to make it to the end, but we will have to see how this all shakes on out as this front pack, no signs of lifting here inside of 10 laps to go. As it's a 2x2 battle for the race lead. Brian Wilderson down low, Justin Callahan up top. Wilderson being pushed by Josiah Millen. O'Quinn pushing Callahan up top, as Justin Callahan will lead this lap and get a bonus point for that 75 machine. We'll see if the 94 of Jeff O'Quinn will clear as well, but a little bit of lap traffic to deal with at the end of this race. Looks like we're coming to lap the 86 machine of John Sanu. As the field comes at us down this backstretch, Lee Campbell trying to find the draft, figure out what line he wants to go with. Also, Donald Bennett has caught this race, this front pack here. As we do get around John Sanu 3 wide into turn number 3, everyone gets around cleanly, as now Devin McDonald jumps to the top side. As these guys are going side by side, now the momentum will shift to that top side as they have 4 cars up top versus the 2 on the bottom. We'll have to see how this works on out, but the energy now goes to the top side of the speedway. As Justin Callahan will slide on down to that bottom side, will take the draft away from, as, almost bad contact there between Devin McDonald and Jeff O'Quinn. That could have been very bad. A left rear tap like that in the corner, that could have ended a few drivers' race here. A little premature here on lap number 7, but Jeff O'Quinn somehow hangs onto that car, but Justin Callahan up front continues to lead the way here. As this time by at the start finish line, we will see 6 laps to go, and we got to wonder who has enough, who doesn't, when they decide to pit. And of course, how much fuel do these drivers take? As the 86 machine in this field is a lap down. He is the current lucky dog candidate, so we'll have to see if he can keep that car clean and be eligible for that lucky dog here. As Justin Callahan comes back from, I want to say, right around 10th or 11th on the speedway about 15 laps ago to the race lead, with that great push from that 94 or 4 machine out there on track. As this time by, we get the 1 open palm. 5 more laps around the speedway. What will unfold here as we start to get to the end of this race? We'll see moves starting to be made, see who turns it on up, and who may run out of fuel. contact for third place. Josiah Millen goes on around in the infield, and we stay green flag racing here. As we get a yellow flag here with 5 laps to go, we'll take a look to see what brought out our first yellow. And I believe the 40 machine of Josiah Millen may have gotten some help as he goes around off the bumper of the 18 machine of Devin McDonald, and Josiah Millen picks up some pretty significant right side contact with that inside wall. But we go under yellow flag for the first time here for playoff race number 1. We'll see all of these drivers come in. We'll see who just takes fuel, who takes tires, and where this pack re-racks, as I believe it will be a green-white checkered when we come back up and go back green flag racing here. So we will go to commercial break and figure out where everyone stacks on up when it's all said and done. Don't go anywhere, folks.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
As we come back to the Talladega Super Speedway under yellow flag, we try and get things sorted on out. It looks like maybe the 51 machine of Ron Hart will pick up the race lead. He did win last week, so if he does win, he gets 10 extra bonus points. Doesn't help him in the playoffs as he's not playoff eligible, but it will be quite a win to win on the shortest track on the schedule and then come to the biggest one and do the same thing back to back. As this field will get ready to go green flag racing on attempt, green-white checkered attempt number 1. And actually the 51 machine of Ron Hart did not pit under yellow. That's how he took over the race lead. So we'll have to see if he has enough fuel, as Justin Callahan will start second, Jeff O'Quinn third, Lee Campbell fourth. Donald Bennett will round out the top 5 in this restart. as we will have to see how this sorts on out. The lights are extinguished on the iRacing pace car. We are going green next time by, and we'll have to see what kind of moves have been made. We've made it green throughout to the last 5 laps. Josiah Millen is still out on track, so we have all the drivers that have started this race still out there on track, as this is going to get crazy, folks. This is what we come for these super speedway races to watch. These last lap moves, we will have to see a lot of these. So we will have to see if the 51 machine of Ron Hart has enough fuel to make it to the end, as he will lead us to green. Justin Callahan up top, Jeff O'Quinn, row number 2 with Lee Campbell. As we'll have to see if this field survives to the white flag. If they do, the race will be official. They race it back to the line. But if they don't make it to that white flag, folks, we will get another attempt at a green-white checkered. The iRacing pace car makes the left-hand turn down pit road, and we get ready to go. Green flag race in action. Looks like Devin McDonald and Brian Wilderson, both with pit road penalties. They will start at the tail end of this line. So we'll have to see what they can do, see what they can work together to do, as we wait for the 51 machine of Ron Hart to jump on the loud pedal. He does that. We go green flag racing here for green-white checkered attempt number 1, as Ron Hart out there by himself a little bit. He will have to make sure he doesn't get out too far and be a sitting duck, but everyone gets through the gears fairly well, folks. We'll have to see how this sorts on out as Dave Payne jumps to the top side. Same with Jeff O'Quinn. Justin Callahan almost 3 wide on the nose of Hayden Swank, as these drivers duking it out. They're going for any opening spots they can, as Tanner Tallarico will now go to the top side as well, as we get 3 wide racing 4 wide here into turn number 3. We'll see if everyone can sort it on out. They stay all clean, as a little bit of contact between these drivers, but everyone keeps it facing straight. So we come to the white flag here, and everyone still sitting straight. So we will get to the white flag here, and this race will be official. We'll have to see how this unfolds, as Brian Wilderson has entered the chat for the race lead. He's stuck on that inside line as Ron Hart goes to the middle. They are 3 wide for the race lead. Ron Hart now up top in front of Hayden Swank. Dave Payne by himself up top. Devin McDonald has also caught this lead pack, as these drivers are going for it. They got to be careful with the push, and you can't push too much with these cars, as this is the white flag lap, folks. This is where it is. You got to set up that final move right here. Ron Hart sitting in the best spot. As a little bit of contact between the 40 and the 18. Everyone keeps it straight here as they come off of turn number 4. They got a long distance to go as Jeff O'Quinn makes contact. That could open up the door for Dave Payne, who has a big run, big time contact. Ron Hart goes on around. Dave Payne may pick up this race when they contact, and Devin McDonald, Dave Payne with a photo finish as they wreck across the line. I think it's a .00 finish. I think they finished right on top of each other. We got to take a look again at that finish, as that was right on top of each other. I don't know who won that. That was too close to call, as we'll try and take a look at this finish here at the start-finish line. As we'll take a look here, hopefully at the start-finish line, and we will see how this finishes. As you can see, those inside guys wrecking. Ron Harkin turned off the bumper of Hayden Swank. He makes big-time contact with the I believe it's the 27 of, and big time contact with John DeMeester later. And here's the race at the start finish line. A little bit of contact that gives Dave Payne out of shape enough to lose just by a fender. That's how close the race win was. But we got to take a look one more time at the wreck, because there was some big time contact, I believe, with Jeff O'Quinn and John DeMeester. So we'll take a look at the big one on the last lap. Lee Campbell jumps down low, tries to miss it. Ron Hart almost goes up and over. And then here's the big hit. Oh, man. Jeff O'Quinn. Big time contact. And John DeMeester will limp that thing to the line. But a great finish as a lot of damaged cars. We'll go to commercial break and come back for some interviews. Don't go anywhere, folks, because that was another crazy race. As we come back here, folks, at the Talladega Super Speedway, we'll be talking to our third place driver, that being the 35 machine of Hayden Swank. Hayden, you got a copy? It's Brett the Jet in the booth here.
Hey, Brett, I got you.
Alrighty, Hayden. What a finish there. That was pretty crazy. Tell me what was going through your head going through that tri-oval with Ron Hart right there and you sitting in a pretty good spot in that middle lane.
Yeah. So, the first part of the race is just a lot of riding. I think we would have had the fuel strategy right, probably would have coasted to the line and still took home third, whether it went green or not. But, after that restart, I just stuck it 3 wide down the middle. That was the only opening I saw. I wasn't really trying to go for, decent points and push somebody to the win. I wanted to win the thing, so I tried to do that. At the end, I was pushing Ron. I was hoping he would make it on fuel, but coming through the tri-oval, I definitely got way too aggressive there. I stuck my nose in there. I just hate that it ended the way it did for him, and I'm sure a few other people. So we'll see if we hold on to this one. But other than that, it was still a pretty solid night, and definitely a great night of racing all around.
Yeah, Hayden, you went from not in the pack to with that green-white checkered, like you said. You might have had just enough fuel to coast on through, but with that green-white checkered, that throws fuel strategy right out the window, and then it's all go time. What was kind of your thoughts with that green-white checkered? Push as hard as you can?
Yeah, no, we definitely gave it everything it had right there. I don't think anybody gave an inch. We were still bouncing off each other those last 2 laps. Just wish I was able to keep it off everybody for the last one.
Yeah, Hayden, and looking at bigger picture, this is playoff race number 1, so coming home with a third place. You came into the points 1 point behind Dave Payne and a few points behind the points leader, Tanner Tallarico, so you take some points away from him. So what's kind of the mindset going forward with some different tracks, Watkins Glen, Bristol, and ending at Irwindale?
Yeah, I actually had to skip first road course of the year, so I think when we go to Watkins Glen, I'm hoping to surprise some people. I feel like I run pretty good there. I'm not a great road course racer, but I do run good there. I think Irwindale, I'm a short track guy, so I'm gonna like that. I'm just trying to build enough of a points buffer for the Bristol dirt race to make it through.
Alrighty, awesome stuff from our third place finisher. Before we let you go, Hayden, and celebrate this podium finish, I'm going to go hand over the mic to you and thank who you got to thank for this 38 crew. 35, excuse me.
Yeah. Oh, you're good. Just got to thank Overtime. Again, they've been super helpful in the racing in and out of the sim this year. So definitely very excited. To put it to good use here tonight.
Awesome stuff from you, Hayden. I'm sure we'll be talking to you some more here in the future, but tonight you survived Talladega, finished third. Always something to kind of walk away, at least with a little bit of a smile on your face.
Absolutely.
Alrighty, Hayden. You have yourself a great rest of the night. Alrighty, folks. Now we'll dial up our runner-up finisher, the guy that lost just by a fender, that being the 38 machine of Dave Payton. Dave, do you got a copy? It's Brett the Jet in the booth here.
Hey, Brett. How's it going?
Oh, man, Dave. Such a heartbreak for you to lose it at those last, I want to say, 20 feet before the line just by a fender to Devin. What was going through your mind, that green-white checkered and being stuck on that top side of 3 wide?
That I was screwed. I thought I was screwed. I don't know how I wound up out there. Like, I think I had I don't know if there was, like, some kind of checkup. I honestly don't. The last, like, green-white checker was kind of a blur, but somehow I wound up on the top side, and then somehow I wound up getting a run. I forget who it was that was behind me pushing me up there. Maybe that was Devin. I don't remember, but yeah. So Devin kind of got on my bumper and pushed us to the front, and then everything else was a bit of a blur. Like, I was trying to find a spot to come down low, and I wish I did. Like, it's just hard, as you remember back in the old days when you didn't have triples, on a single screen. I'm kind of looking, and I thought we were 3 wide, and I look over to see where Ron was at and realize we're not 3 wide and that there's a hole. And by the time I saw that, Devin had already taken it. So, it's not, it sucks to lose by 9/1000ths, but, it's still a second place finish. I'll take it. I'm not too upset about it.
Yeah, Dave, to come home in second after Talladega, always a good sign. You eat away at Tanner Tallarico's point lead. You did come into the playoffs in the 3rd position, so doing what you can in this 38 machine. But, yeah, that's a bummer to lose it right there at the end, door banging with Devin McDonald. But I tell you what, Dave, like you said, it had to be a blur. That had to be some adrenaline flowing through that 38 machine there for that finish.
Yeah, I was just waiting for, like, everything to go sideways because I was pretty convinced that was going to happen, and it was a pretty thrilling finish. I'm really happy that we kept it as straight as we could, at least, coming to the line and coming across the line. And I know we were door banging there. I was trying to door Devin, honestly, at the end. I was just trying to slow his car down by hitting him. That was my last ditch effort of trying to secure the win. I just figured I'd door Devin and see if that helps, and I thought maybe we'd spin sideways and I would spin across the line first, but I don't know. It was a really good race. It was pretty exciting for, an entire fuel mileage race, and then the last green-white checker made it pretty exciting.
Yeah, it did, Dave, to come down with a green-white checker when it's all said and done. Very exciting stuff. But Dave, I got to ask, it seemed like that second pack really slowed on up there before that yellow flag. Did you guys have enough fuel to make it to the end?
So I did. I don't think Tanner did. Ron says he did, but I think Ron's a lying SOB. I don't think he had enough fuel to finish. I don't know how he would, because we were saving. I was half throttle, for a lot of laps. It felt like most of the race I was more or less half throttle, and I think I was good by about a half a lap. So I think I could have made it.
Wow, that would have been close. That would have been awesome to watch, Dave. But instead, we got the fantastic green-white checkered at the end. But, Dave, you bring a home runner-up. Eat away at that points lead a little bit. And, of course, finishing a super speedway race, always a good thing. So, Dave, before we let you go, I'm going to go hand over the mic to you and thank who you got to thank on this 38 machine.
Well, I always repeat the same thing. Thank you, Turn 3 and Brett, for doing a broadcast, and thanks to Andrew for putting the series together. And maybe I'll change it up. I like to thank all the league members that showed up here tonight. This series has long kind of suffered this big drop off, and and so when I see the diehards and the people that keep coming and racing with us, that's awesome. Hopefully we can get some more recruitment done over the off season, but these guys that keep showing up with us each week are awesome. And everybody ran a great race tonight. And then of course, thanks to my lovely wife Natalie, who puts up with my silly hobbies.
Alrighty, Dave. Well, I hope to be talking to you some more in these playoffs, but you did what you needed to. Came up just short for the race win, but second place. Nothing to laugh at with this caliber. Dave, you have a great rest of your night.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, Brett.
Alrighty, folks. And now we'll head down to Victory Lane and talk to the guy that won with a little bit of front-end damage, that being the 18 machine of Devin McDonald, picking up win number 2 of the season and picking it up at the right time here for the playoffs. Devin, do you got a copy? It's Brett the Jet in the booth here.
Yeah, I got you, Brett.
Alrighty, Devin. What a finish. What was it like coming to the line there, and what was going through your mind, that green-white checker there?
It happened so fast, to be honest with you, boy. I was pushing David Payton there pretty good coming out of 4, and I thought I was going to get a second. I was happy with that. But I seen an opening. I went for it, and we got the win.
Yeah, Devin, that was a heck of a push, especially on Dave Payne. But not only that, you started at the back of the line during that green-white checker. Did you get a penalty on pit road?
I did, yeah. I got an unsafe pit exit, actually.
Wow, so coming all the way back through this field and the green-white checkered, in 2 laps. Heck of a job by you, Devin. Your car looks a little bit beat up, though. Hopefully that thing will be repairable for these next couple races. But Devin, picking up win number 2, win accounts here for the start of the playoffs. That's got to mean a lot for this 18 machine.
I would do it for sure. I seen had a bit of point lead on us, but hopefully we close that up now pretty good. And going forward is going to be a nice close finish for the championship.
Yeah, I think it will be, Devin, when it's all said and done. Heck of a job by you. Like we said, picked up your first win of ASRC on the dirt Eldora, excuse me. Now doing it at Talladega. Heck of a job, man. That was a heck of a finish, I got to say. You and Dave door banging to the line. You just edge him out just by a fender. Man, it doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the best races I had on this, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that definitely was awesome. I'm definitely going to have to rewatch this replay. I'm sure everyone else in the field. But, Devin, before we let you go and celebrate down in Victory Lane, looking at the playoffs, what do you have kind of circled on the schedule with Watkins Glen coming up, Bristol, and then, of course, ending at Irwindale?
Well, I'm kind of dreading Watkins Glen, to be honest with you. I'm not real good at the road courses. I'm hoping Bristol Dirt's going to be pretty good, so that's one I'm most excited for.
Alrighty, you did win the dirt earlier this season, so we'll see if you can go 2 for 2 on the dirt. But Devin, you have yourself a great rest of the night. I'm sure we'll be talking to you again here in the future down after the races, but heck of a job by you. Awesome finish. You have yourself a great rest of the night. But before we let you go, I forgot, I got to hand over the mic to you and thank who you got to thank for this 18 crew down in Victory Lane.
Well, first off, I'd like to thank my girlfriend would allow me to do this every week and race with you guys, and I'd like to thank you up in the booth and Turn 3 Racing Network, and of course ASRC for putting it all together and all the admins. Have a great one, Mode.
As my mic was off, so heck of a race here, folks, from the ASRC Sportsman Series for this race. Of course, getting the job done, Devin McDonald in the 18 machine. And photo finish, big one at the end. What more could you ask for here from race number 1 of the playoffs? We'll run through tonight's finishing order and get everyone on out of here at a decent time. As of course, it doesn't look like it's showing up, so we'll go through it manually. Devin McDonald picks up the win in the 18 machine. Second goes to Dave Payne in the 38. Third will be Hayden Swank in the 35 machine. Fourth is Josiah Millen in the 40. Rounding out the top 5 is the 951 machine of Brian Wilderson. Sixth goes to Donald Bennett with the biggest mover of the race, Kyle Leisure, in the 41 machine, finishing 7th. Eighth goes to Tanner Tallarico, so losing a little bit of points here, but did survive to the end. Ninth goes to Justin Callahan in the 75 machine. Rounding out the top 10 is Lee Campbell in the 27. 11th is...
I think Brett's finishing up.
11th goes to Jeff O'Quinn. 12th is Ron Hart, who we saw make some pretty big contact there at the finish. Johnson New 13th. John DeMeester rounds out the field. So, folks, everyone have a great one. Of course, be sure to tune on in throughout the rest of these playoffs as the battles are going to keep on getting more and more intense. I've been Brett the Jet from Turn 3 Racing Network. Be sure to check out Turn 3 Racing Network throughout the week for all the other racing needs. We got a lot of great broadcasters, a lot of great series to cover. Everyone stay safe. We'll catch you same time, same place on the Turn 3 Racing Network next Monday. Everyone take care, stay safe, and just remember, folks, I've been Brett the Jet here in the booth, and I just flew by you. Have a good one.